Thank you, Martha. Thank you also, House Speaker Sherman Packard, Chief Justice of the New Hampshire Supreme Court Gordon MacDonald, Executive Counselor Cindy Warmington, Governor Sununu, and all of you for inviting me here today. One day I was out on the back deck grilling with my mom and dad. They asked me how I felt about my term as kid governor coming to an end. They asked me what I learned this year. I told them I'm like the bridge that connects kids to the mental health support that they need. Becoming that bridge has been fun, challenging, and interesting to me, and I plan to continue to be that bridge long after today. So I did some research on New Hampshire bridges, but if you know me, I love to start with a definition. According to Britannica.com, a bridge is a structure built to span a physical obstacle without blocking the way underneath. It's built for the purpose of providing passage over the obstacle, which is usually something that is otherwise difficult or impossible to cross. When I read that definition, I couldn't think of a more appropriate phrase to describe my work over the past 12 months. This is really similar to a kid trying to understand mental health and who to turn to for help. So I'm going to talk to you about some New Hampshire bridges today, okay? I decided to do a bunch of research on covered bridges, and they are really cool. I love math and engineering, and it's amazing to think that these cool bridges were built in the early 1800s using only wood. It turns out there are 54 historic registered bridges in New Hampshire. The Haverhill Bath Covered Bridge is believed to be the oldest covered bridge in the state. It was built in 1827, 195 years ago. It's 256 feet long. That's almost a football field. It carried traffic until 1999. That's 172 years of carrying traffic across the Ammonoosuc River. That bridge connected Bath and Woodsville, New Hampshire, providing safe passage for travelers all those years. The bridge helps them cross a very treacherous spillway that could never be crossed on foot alone. As kid governor's job is a lot like those bridges, connecting kids with advocates that can magnify their cause. As kid governor, you can provide a level of safety for kids to discuss, learn, and advocate for your cause. I've been spending my time as kid governor spreading the word and trying to eliminate stigma associated with mental health struggles. I've been invited to speak to many groups and created materials to support kids that are suffering. I worked with Chief Justice John Broderick and Ms. Jody Lebarski from the Seacoast Mental Health Center to create videos to share in all 5th grade classrooms throughout the state. I ran a poster contest to raise awareness of where kids can turn when they are feeling down. These posters will be hanging in most schools around the state. At the end of May, I teamed up with Chief Justice John Broderick as presenters at the Magnify Voices Expressive Arts Contest award ceremony at Tupelo Music Hall in Derry. We were also 2 of the judges for the middle school entries. The kids that entered did some amazing work. There was a huge range of entries from essays, poems, songs, drawings, and paintings. I've spoken to school principals and school superintendents asking for their support with kids' mental health issues. There were great opportunities to remind our school leaders to make mental health a top priority. These are just a few examples of how the kid governor can be a connector between experts and the kids, just like the bridges are a connector. These historic bridges weren't built perfectly and weren't built miraculously to withstand extreme weather. They require care, maintenance, and attention. The Haverhill Bath Bridge suffered major damage in 1929 when it was pierced by a tree trunk and a barn floated into the structure of the bridge. As kid governor, not every interaction you have is rosy and perfect. Not every outcome will be what you expect, but there are so many opportunities for learning on the way. The Blair Bridge in Campton, New Hampshire, was burned down by an arsonist. Even though the man confessed to the crime, he was found not guilty because there were no witnesses. The town voted to rebuild the bridge in 1869 when a doctor crossing the river on horseback found the current too strong. His horse died in the crossing, but the doctor was saved. As a public figure, you're going to run into some haters, some people that may be jealous. and people that don't agree with your cause. Like these historic bridges, your role as a connector has to persevere. You get up, brush yourself off, and double down on commitment to your cause. My dad likes to get me thinking about 3 questions after each of my speeches. 1, what did you do that was amazing? Charlotte, you will do lots of amazing things this year. 2, what's one big lesson I can take away from this? And 3, what specifically will I do to grow from this? In October, I had the opportunity to speak to Governor Sununu's Executive Council at New Hampshire Institute of Politics. That was the day when the radical protesters disrupted the meeting and forced the meeting to be postponed. I was able to get my speech in, but boy was that bananas. It was a tough situation to be in, and I did not expect that kind of welcome committee that day. But I learned a lot, and in the end, I felt like I was a part of history that day. Like those bridges that suffer damage from storms, you need to put your head down and persevere as kid governor, and I'm glad I had that experience. Neil Levesque and Ann Kamen have been so gracious and nice to me this year. Thank you for including me in so many events at the Institute of Politics. There's a funny feature on the Blair Bridge that we just talked about. It has a sign over the entrance that says, $5 fine for riding or driving on this bridge faster than a walk. This might be one area where the Kid Governor program differs from these bridges, because this past year has been a sprint. Almost every week I had a speaking engagement with some amazing mental health advocates, school administrators, and professionals. I got to give a kickoff speech at the Connors Climb 5K this past summer. I was the keynote speaker for the National Alliance on Mental Illness Conference this summer and got to speak to mental health professionals across the country. I spoke to the Association of School Superintendents and the director at the New Hampshire YMCAs. And for the month of October, I toured across the state with the Choose Love Foundation, spreading word about their amazing program, which is available in every school in the state for free. Being kid governor, on top of being a student and athlete and a kid, definitely takes tireless energy. My last bridge story, I promise. There was a covered bridge that was originally built in Bedford, New Hampshire, that was set to be demolished. At the same time in Wentworth, New Hampshire, there was a steel truss bridge that was also scheduled to be demolished. In 2016, the covered bridge from Bedford was moved to Wentworth and was renamed the Friendship Bridge. When I think about the most important and powerful things that came from my year as kid governor, it's the friendships I have made with so many amazing mental health advocates, political leaders, administrators, and other amazing people this year. There was an amazing Puma State student I met at the Bridges House, ironically, when I was invited there by the First Lady to speak with the Choose Love team. Tyler was his name. He came up to me after my speech and said after hearing me talk that he decided he was going to go on and get his master's degree and become a school guidance counselor. It's very cool to be able to have that kind of impact on someone's life. I've made some amazing friends this year, including Scarlett Lewis from Choose Love Foundation, Shannon Desolitz, the program director for Choose Love New Hampshire, Officer Lenny and his comfort dog Liberty, I call her Libs, Officer Jeff, First Lady Valerie Sununu, Governor Sununu, Holly Fenn from Reach One, Teach One, Love One, Carol LaMarche and Candace Porter from Connors Climb, Jody Labarsky from Seacoast Mental Health, Chief Justice John Broderick, Neil Levesque, and Ann Kamen from the Institute of Politics, Luann Janess, and Martha Madsen. When I was asked what the Kid Governor program does, I said, I am a bridge. To be that bridge, you need to be a connector. You need to persevere. You need to bring tireless energy to your cause, and you will build amazing friendships. I am so grateful for this opportunity I have had to be that bridge for mental health this year. Charlotte, go forth and be that bridge for homelessness. And remember, you don't have to do this alone.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.